the matches because I didn't really watch many, but I'm pretty excited for the playoff bracket. I'll be casting Wednesday and Friday. So, is tomorrow the first day, or is Wednesday the first day? I think tomorrow is the first day. I don't know who's casting that. We're into a PvP.
Resubscription received. Apparently you are doing something right, Captain.
Okay, so, yeah, tomorrow's the first day of it. Excuse you. Alright. Thank you, Hurt1, for the 15-month resub. Love the cast this week. Thank you kindly. Okay, so bottom left, as the blue Protoss for Team Exxon, he is Geralt. In the top right, as the red Protoss, we have Team Roddy's Goblin. Goblin also got into DreamHack Fall. But, where did he end up the place? Yeah, there he is. I didn't think he made it through, but I was looking at the bottom 3, and he actually made bottom 4, so he was so close to actually making it through in Group B. Goblin lost, out in 4th place to actually another one of Roddy's boys, but not Roddy's team members, whatever. Vanya got 4th place instead of Goblin, so Goblin still put up a good fight, and at this point he is pretty reliably into the DreamHack groups, but to make it farther, need a bit of luck, and need to be pretty damn good. Is the mic low today? It doesn't seem that much lower than usual. Depends on if I'm casting or if I'm just kind of talking, like whatever. But it's possible because I did have to move my my phantom power, which has the gain on it, and sometimes the gain gets screwed up, and yeah. I'm basically waiting for the Go XLR to be available. Otherwise, I would have bought, I guess, preamp or a mixer a long time ago. Both, I guess. But the Go XLR is just never going to be back in stock. It's gone forever, apparently. Alright, so Goblin did have his probe around that pylon as if he was going to do something, but then decides to slap it down in his own base. So, that's the wrong one. There we go. Actually, Geralt left, which just happened. It's this funny thing that happens where I think technically if the probe wants to stick around, if the probe wants to get the scout, it has to die. Whatever units pop out of the gateways will kill the probe before it can leave. But it would get a scout on a 1-base Stargate. The most people do just leave at the probe. So, the 1-base Stargate can sometimes be, you know, surprisingly go unscouted. But I think Geralt's probe just went back in there to see the Nexus timing. It missed it, though. It missed it. So, for what it sees still no Nexus, but he's got to know that's not necessarily correct, or guess that's not necessarily correct. And he's still doing a lot of guesswork, unfortunately. Geralt knows the missing pylon, but doesn't mean it was a proxy Stargate. He checks the most common locations for it, doesn't find it so far. The Nexus might have been a little bit off, but he couldn't get a confirmation on that, so is it at home or not? Is it a Stargate at all? Like, that's actually still questions Geralt is asking himself. He finally sees the Nexus timing. With it not being quite done, he might be able to say, okay, it is, or he's not an Oracle. But he actually had already put the shield battery, so maybe he already kind of knew, as that one Oracle does not defeat one shield battery. A Void Ray is on the way. I think this is really what makes Geralt build a shield battery, and assume, is that Void Rays are back in, and Goblin is one of the guys actually using Void Rays. So you just kind of assume that if you're against Goblin, they're going into Void Rays, and generally that means they're going into an Oracle first. Geralt's Oracle actually gets in and gets out, killing 2 probes and living, getting that full scout in the Void Rays, in case that was ever a question mark. And Geralt had already thrown down his Twilight Council on his forward, so should be going into Blinken +1. Goblins, like, this whole Void Ray thing seems to me to still be in a work in progress, but it does seem to be working against some people. So I'm eager to see it actually work. Right now, all things pretty even. This would seemingly be the best chance for Goblin to make this work. But is it? Oh, that was a mistake there. Really wanted this one probe, he just injured, but loses the Oracle instead. Ah, well. It's not really about the Oracle anymore, but it would have been nice to get that alive. My question is, Geralt go for a push, or does he actually try and play us out to a third game and then push? It can be a little tricky. There's that point where the Void Ray count is not very high, so you're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can take that on. But if you misjudge, then suddenly 5 injured Void Rays is still, you know, enough. Or 5 injured Void Rays become 5 injured ones plus 2 fresh ones, and then you're like, oh, that's actually a little bit too much. It's actually kind of just like a recurring theme with Protoss Air in general. I wouldn't say just Protoss Air. It's just a recurring theme with some of the more turtle-based compositions, right? Things that are kind of dependent on you not striking when the time is right, as well as not playing a similar composition, I suppose. So, Void Rays or Battle Cruisers, kind of the carriers, obviously Tempest, blah, 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 but yeah, those are 2 options. The Protoss Air and the Battle Cruisers. There's this really tricky thing where, like, theoretically, if you're playing really well, if you're doing everything right, you're supposed to be able to beat them before they get too far. Don't let them get there, being the most annoying, obnoxious thing you can ever say to anyone. And then you think, okay, I gotta make sure they don't get there, and then you overinvest, don't quite have an actual good standing in macro, and you haven't killed enough, and suddenly one problem becomes 2 problems, and then 2 problems becomes dealing with massively racing carriers. No one really wants it. So Geralt goes for his own third. He's not going to be going for that attack like I was alluding to. I saw Mana go for a big old bust into naturals. Against Goblin, I want to say, but also some other Protoss. Maybe Max Backs? And it worked out. You know, kind of barely, I suppose, but it did work out. Geralt not quite going for that. Would still love to get a denial on the 3rd Nexus. It's kind of like, oh, I'm the Blink Stalker guy, I'm doing the more normal thing, this is supposed to be what I get, not you. But Goblin actually is going to be getting away with the 3rd Nexus. Shield batteries being made, Overcharge could be available as well. 6 Void Rays at this point, and an Immortal on the ground too. Stalkers died. So far, Geralt's not really doing the best here, honestly. Goblin has not taken damage, and is now moving on to a Fleet Beacon. And while Geralt could have... If Goblin was more scared, Geralt could have had a faster 3rd Nexus. Goblin actually took his at a very appropriate timing. I guess you could actually argue that Geralt should have just went for it a lot faster. Faster 3rd Nexus you can get. It's unlikely the Void Rays will be pushing out into him. Even when the Void Ray counts start to get high, or the Immortals in the ground numbers start to get high, sure. The Void Rays at the end of the day are still kind of glass cannons, so you don't ever usually see Void Rays move out aggressively against other Protosses. So I guess you could really say that Geralt's biggest problem right now is his lack of timing on the expansion. Should have been a lot faster. He will have some good upgrades, +2 on the way, and Charge can really start to pull apart Goblin. You can go for Warp Prism in the main base, the Charge will also help a lot about the Immortals in the ground. And as the game continues on, obviously harassment towards the 4th and 5th could be important too. But speaking of that, Geralt should be getting that faster towards base. I mean, you're playing basically a PV mech, or you know, you're the Terran and they're the Protoss right now because they're also PvP. Geralt gets the faster upgrades, the ground army, the faster expansions, more units that are a little worse. And then the other guy gets to kind of turtle and takes everything a bit slower, but ultimately comes out ahead with a better army. This ends up being, I think, a good trade for Geralt, considering that those were Void Rays, although they are cheaper now, so cost a lot of gas, and are all about that kind of getting to a certain point composition, kind of snowballing. So I think that was better for him, but I do want to see an Instant Warp Prism remake, and it's exactly what Geralt does. I've really been liking this guy's play. Now a ton of Stalkers starting to one-shot these Void Rays, getting a little bit questionable. I actually don't know how many stocks it takes to one-shot a Void Ray, but I think it might be a number that is worth learning, because apparently this is a style that enough people are trying that I should be paying attention to. I don't think it's actually going to become a thing, but it's a thing for some of the people who are making it into DreamHack groups, so reason enough, I guess. Now, Goblin is on to carriers, which at this number isn't the scariest thing, but I think Geralt knows that while these snipes are going really well for him, he's not going to actually break Geralt on 3 bases, Goblin on 3 bases. So Geralt is already preparing into Stargates himself. He's also going for that Storm, and those Void Rays, they clump up like a bitch, alright? Void Rays, the faster a unit is in StarCraft 2, the more it's going to clump. So already they're clumping a little bit faster than usual with the recent patch, and then he got Flux Veins for him, so they clump fast and hard. Not a cancel, I believe. Yeah, 20 minerals down the drain. Tempests are here. So there's this other problem that we don't usually get to talk about because people generally die before they can get to this mass carrier stuff. But the problem that we can talk about now is that Tempests, now supposedly, I don't see this too often, late game PvPs don't happen often. Late game air toss PvPs don't happen often. Apparently, Tempests really do just absolutely slaughter carriers. Now, you think about that logically, and it makes sense. The Tempests have more range. Revelation is such an easy spell to cast to give you that sight that they need, similar to tanks. And then you just bop carriers, especially if you can get to enough Tempests. It should be happening here. And the carriers can't really do very much about it. Theoretically, logically, that all makes sense. But there's always a little bit something else complicating it. That's StarCraft. There's always the, well, I can't quite get to that many Tempests. Or their army is out positioning my army. Or, I don't know, whatever, right? I feel like in this situation, we're kind of getting the most basic setup possible. Which is Goblin, it took a while, but he's going into Void Ray Carrier, and Geralt is going into Tempests. And both on a fairly good economy. Actually, pretty good economy. They both come to 5 and 4 bases. Now for Goblin. Stalker wastes a lot of Stalkers to not get that Nexus. That's a little bit awkward. But anyways, so doesn't the Tempest just win here? Am I wrong about this? Like, what happens if the Tempest don't win this? We even have Goblin stalling out on +2 ship weapons. Not getting any scouting done either, so maybe assuming that Geralt's headed to Tempests, but if he assumes that, shouldn't he do something about it? I don't know. Another Warp Prism. Can't get enough of them. Into the main base, getting 12 probe kills. That happened pretty quickly. Scouts the Disruptor, but Geralt doesn't really need these Stalkers. I mean, he doesn't want to just get rid of them all immediately. That would maybe poke the bear a little bit too much, reveal too much of a weakness, but using them to kill the Nexus I think is actually fair. Getting their hands on a couple of Interceptors as well, why not? But yeah, you don't have to throw them away all immediately. They are supposed to be traded out in favor of these now carriers. So I don't know how many Tempest takes to one-shot a carrier either. Just usually not numbers I really have to think about too much, but they're at 6 Tempests right now, which I'm gonna say one shot's a carrier. I don't know how upgrades are gonna affect any of this. I'm gonna say they are right now, but I don't. Because they have the bonus versus massive, right? Well, whatever. Anyways, I think you want to get to a number of Tempests that one-shots the carriers, and maybe Geralt knows that, and it is 6. And then adding on carriers as you complete, you round out the consistent DPS, the butting your heads into each other army. You're going to want to include those carriers. If the carriers of Goblin get on top of Geralt and Geralt has nothing but Tempest, the Tempests have a problem. Their DPS is not that high, they're slow shooting big honkers, and they also are big blast cannoning. So that could have been a problem. Void Ray is now very good at jumping on things because they are so fast, which can sometimes be their downfall, like jumping into a parasitic bomb. But yeah, they can jump on top of Tempest. I can see that happening. But if there's also a bunch of carriers, also adding in that DPS, Like, they basically balance each other. Tempests are slow but powerful, and then carriers are fast but only have so much damage in each interceptor shot. I mean, I have to be wrong. Goblin has been playing on the style forever, and I'm just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I can't believe he's actually doing this. Alright, so this is interesting. Theoretics aside, we're now going to be discussing the actual battle soon enough. Everything in the main base is going to go down pretty damn quickly. 7x4, both of them are going to go down, so no more upgrades for Geralt. Well, this one actually doesn't go down, but it will eventually. Temple Archives also went down. There is a recall available. He used Mothership recall to get here, and you can use the regular Nexus recall to get on out. Not all of his units will make it, though, and that is the scary portion of this. So, a lot of his units end up making it. Wow, only 2 got left behind. That was a pretty good recall. Stalkers actually managed to blink into the natural and kill the natural Nexus. Depower one of the Stargates, it looks like here. And yes, they will die, but they both have amassed quite a bank. Maybe to take out a Void Ray with them. Single Zealot gets the last Stargate there. Oh no, it was the 4th Stargate actually. Oh, they're all in here. Okay. Alright, so that did kind of suck losing the 7x cores, right? Not because he's making sentries or stalkers or adepts, but because they were researching both upgrades. But at least Geralt is already on his way to +2 shields to repower it, but it's still available. And he should also start to catch up on 7x core upgrades once again. Goblin has finished up +3 attack, but no armor yet. Actually investing the rest of his resources into more production, as I guess he's going to want to try and trade out over and over again. Those Void Rays are speedy little things. Goblin's got his own linkless, upgradeless stalkers sharking around. When did he even make those? How did that happen? Well, I don't know, but you might be wondering, what the hell is this upgrade? That was also introduced in the patch. The reason they introduced this upgrade was to help Protoss out against the Zerg Spore Colony forest. Sorry, Spore Forests. Spore Colonies but I don't know if we're actually going to see it being used. Void Ray is going in for the kill here. Find all 3 Stargates with prismatic alignment. They might die, though. I can't believe recall. Oh my god, it is? Seriously? Oh, Protoss, what a race. Still, he loses a handful of those Void Rays. Probably as many Void Rays as Stargates were lost, plus the Fleet Beacon. So, okay. Alright, I think that maybe was worth it for Goblin. I think. I still don't know how the actual engagement's going to look. 8 Void Rays still left over for Goblin, as he is producing 4 Stargate units at a time. And Geralt replaced 5 Stargates. Ground units, the disruptors, I don't think are going to be able to help out at all, so Goblin's just kind of like missing supply. I think the idea is good because I think Geralt might actually want to add on Archons. I don't know about high templates. I don't know about high storms here. Doesn't seem probable, but whatever. But yeah, maybe Archons could be a good thing to have. You gotta actually get them underneath there. Maybe they stop the Void Rays from jumping on top of your carriers. I could see the Archons working. I could see the Archons being included, and we actually finally have 1 Archon here and a couple of Storms. And they do sometimes get some pretty good shots on the Interceptors, but yeah, there's actually a bit more ground army available for Goblin that I don't know, like, Disruptors, yes, okay. Went over how I see they're good. Immortals, I don't know. As necessary, I don't know. Apparently the army supplies are in favor of Goblin, as Geralt is still trying to max out. He has to replace so much technology. He had to replace the Stargates. Only just finished alongside the Fleet Beacon having to finish, right? First you gotta build the Stargates, and then the Fleet Beacon, then you can get back on the carrier production. So he is still 30 supply down. Those 4 carriers are on the way, but they're not going to be here for the fight. I have no idea how this is going to look, but the Tempest should be getting all of the initial shots. The revelation from Geralt is not going to happen. Oh, the miss micro, and that is the only Oracle he has. Here's some Time Warp effects communication. Oh, there you go. Cannons will provide detection, but that's not the ideal situation. Like, if Goblin is pushing into him hard enough that the cannons are what's revealing Goblin's army, then Geralt's not really utilizing Tempests to their fullest ability, so that Oracle revelation is pretty damn important. Thank you very much, Roddy, for the 36-month resub. This game is crazy. I mean, I finally get to see what Goblin's been trying to do. After, you know, 4 or 5 Void Ray games and being like, I'm not that impressed. I finally get to see it. I I still think it has to be tested in the main engagement. Once again, recall going to be used. This could be... Oh, no, because there is... Oh, my God, he didn't use the Nexus recall. The mothership once again hiding off to the right side. I keep thinking it's a goddamn warp prism. Honestly, I do see something red moving, and I keep on thinking it's a warp prism. He grabs the Nexus instantly, but now has to, I guess, deal with repercussions. Mothership does go down. Carrier already taken out. Tempest, though, what are you doing? I don't know what they were being dragged into, but they're being dragged into something. High Templar is still going to storm off, which is affected about half the Void Rays. And here's the prismatically aligned Void Rays going in for the Mothership. Not going to be able to find it. Tempest needs to be focus firing, and they absolutely are on top of those carriers. The Voiders are not focus firing, actually getting disrupted by the Interceptors, and this does not look like it's going well for Goblin. At the end of the day, yes, Geralt's army was just simply better like I thought it was going to be. And I don't know if Goblin just hasn't been tested like that enough times. He's still working with this engagement, with this style of play, but Geralt just took a slam dunk of an engagement, and Goblin does not have enough time or resources to repair everything. Look at the Tempest up there. We actually get to see the Tempest with their orange flamey balls firing out there. I mean, I'm actually going to use their upgrade negative soon, but... I'm glad you got to see it. You got to see it! I love how the Protoss race is really obsessed with balls, by the way. These are some whack-ass fireballs. They look like they straight out of a Mario. That's it, man. Goblin's dead. Thank you, Cian de Wolfe. For 2 months. Subscribe for the cats. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know what Goblin's thinking. But even if he could replace all of his production and then replace all of his Void Rays, he did not do the best job there. They really should have. Handful of Archons to help out, but it is 80 supply army difference. Goblin, I guess still thinking he's in it. No, there it is. GG. GG. Just took him a little while. I mean, Geralt was respecting the army, but GG. Max Pax was able to 2-0 Lambo. Damn. Sorry, right about that. But then he said that some people feel the need to kill the Void Ray player, and that could be a trap, which makes sense. That's kind of what I was explaining at the beginning of last game, is that it's, you think, oh, I have to kill them, and you can kill them if you play, like, really, really right. You probably can. But as soon as you miscalculate and don't kill them, you've hampered yourself, and while they seem like they've been hampered as well because their units are on low health, ultimately, their power comes in those numbers. So it's actually not as good as just letting them be and doing your own macro. So, yeah, that's what he said as well. So that's, some people like to rush to kill the guy going Void Rays because they think, oh shit. But Geralt said that he's actually pretty comfortable heading into the late game against them. So it's very enlightening. In the top left, as the blue Protoss, he is Geralt. In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, he is Goblin. And, I guess they liked that Lambo got O2'd. So, yeah, I mean, Max Pax, he's definitely in the up and up, but it does feel like It is a lot based off his PvP, and occasionally he knocks out a Zerg like Lambo. Yeah, that does happen. It's not too surprising, but the more he does it, the more suddenly I have to stop saying, just a fluke, and more just be like, oh, okay, no, he's a very scary PvP player as well. I don't know if they're cheering for Max Pax and find his playstyle amusing. Cheering against Lambo, I don't know. It's fun that they're talking about it. So, they actually might be talking about it because they're going to face Max Pax next. Let me check that. Nah, they're going to face Neve actually. Whoever wins this faces Neve.
Twitch Prime sub received.
Yeah, they're just amazed by Max
Thank you for
Pax.
appeasing the overmind.
Goblin once again letting his probe stay here as if he would use it. This time he is going to use it. Thank you, Olitio, for the 3-month resub. Keeping the probe around, I think, is more so to dodge this probe from seeing a probe. You know what I'm saying? I think. I don't think you do much else off of one base with a Stargate. Geralt got in, saw a lacking second pylon, got out. Just similar to last game. Not gonna go for his own Stargate as of yet. Not much faster Nexus, and right into a Twilight Console, so it is kind of generally accepted to go right into a Twilight Console nowadays. Like, that can be a build you do a lot of your games, but, you know, one of the biggest weaknesses of going for a Twilight Console first is that you don't have detection. And you might get a, you know, a forge fast as well, but you don't actually build those cannons. So you gotta be careful against a tricky Protoss player, against any Protoss player, really. But against someone who's not also just going 1 or 2 gates, sorry, Nexus, like, you gotta be, like, it's a little concerning. But since Goblin is generally opening with a Stargate, I mean, I think Geralt is correct to always go into Blink immediately. Obviously, the upside of going for a Twilight Console first and foremost, that you have Blink very early. I don't know what he felt the urge to recall. I guess the Stalkers were too far out of position. He was afraid the Oracle was going to swoop in. Adepts are also getting prepared to hit the natural too, and it could be either a 1-2 punch, 1-2 jab, or it could be a really big punch into the main with all of Goblin's units together, and I think that is what Goblin is anticipating, is planning, and what Geralt is anticipating. Well, maybe not anymore. So he's starting to split up his army a little bit, and this is where things could be dangerous. Goblin's gonna send everything in the main. No, it's gonna be blocked out. The Oracle is going to get taken out too, and I think that's actually pretty good. Oh no, don't lose both Oracles. Oh no. Jeez Louise. That is very good, because the Adepts also didn't trap those Stalkers. Well, maybe they could have gotten 3 Stalkers for the loss of that single Oracle with the microability of the Stalkers. Maybe they still eventually get it right, because the Adepts can chase things down. It's gonna take forever. Giving Geralt another warp-in potential, giving him shield battery potential. I mean, this wasn't exactly what Goblin was hoping for. That's, I am pretty sure. And Geralt, by not going for a forge, had to be going for something else. I was waiting to see what. And it is going to be a proxy gateway. He is not going to play a super long game again. Rather try and punish Goblin for what he would assume would be a lot of Void Raids. Now, in this case, he could punish Goblin for losing Adepts. The Adepts don't necessarily want to be the units that take the straight-up fight, unless they have, like, Resonating Blades and you're 2-base all-ending your opponent. So if he does manage to push these back, fight them off, and then start his journey across the map and utilize this Warp Gate, that could be a lot of damage done. But he still has a couple of problems. Another Oracle is going to fall. Third one that was created is about half dead, too. But it's all still... Everything here is still alive. Although oddly positioned and weak and blah blah blah. It's still alive and it's still threatening Geralt. So Geralt really has to make a decision to, like, go across the map, try and punish his opponent's theoretically lower army count. Or say, I guess I can't do it anymore. He's gonna move across now, working in just a single Stalker to help out against the Oracle, and then everything else should be going into the proxy. Goblin is going to see Stalkers suspiciously on the right side with a probe. Goblin's Adepts will have to be recalled. About half of them very low. Recall is available. Shield battery is done. I don't think Goblin realized quite that this was happening. He had a suspicion it was happening, but didn't get the actual scouting good retarget fire on top of the shield battery that was overcharged. And that's going to be it for a little while. Probe pull is definitely appropriate for a Goblin, and he's going to try and use his Adepts on this side of the map, but it's actually not working out here. He loses the Oracle. The Adepts are certainly not doing anything. A recall is not going to be used because instead of a recall being used, an overcharge was used, and the overcharge didn't even work out that long. So Goblin's army count is actually a bit deceiving. The Adepts might get a decent number of probes, but Geralt is able to kill the actual Nexus. He's got Blink on his side. He's microing against the Stalkers of Goblin, and he has a pretty close warp in. Goblin might be close to Blink and +1, but he's already lost so much here. This is going to be a close one. Goblin has lost 20 probes. Did barely save his Nexus. But now he has Blink and he has +1. Can that actually do it? I'm gonna guess no. Let's see what happens here. 4 worker difference and 8 army supply difference. Shield battery is out of juice. Goblin could also lose this Nexus, and that's exactly what's going to happen. If he loses the Nexus, it's actually game over as well. He's barely going to be able to save it. The number of Stalkers for Goblin growing just ever so slightly. It's actually 11 to 14, but Geralt's army's not all together. He just warped those in, losing a lot of the weak Stalkers as they try and to escape. I mean, Geralt also didn't have his entire army on Goblin's side of the map because he had warping Stalkers to help out against the Adepts, so it always looks a little bit closer than the numbers truly said. And that +1 is really going to help out in these engagements. The shield battery is slowly getting juice again as well. The fight, though, Goblins get every single Stalker in here. The Blink Stalker fight, the aggressive Blink forward from Geralt as he thinks he's got this, and I think he is absolutely right. It's 7 Stalkers for Goblin against now 9 of Geralt, but Goblin is trying so hard, and it's not going to be enough. GG. The loss of the Nexus, he just couldn't do it. Oh, yeah.